Something big is about to happen and you need to know about it. Commercial real estate in the US may be in a debt bubble that's about to burst as the assumptions that kept it going look shakier than ever. That's exactly what Warren Buffett has sounded the alarm bells for, because this brewing storm is going to have ripple effects into the economy much broader than a single industry. And that's not all, because I think there's some hysterical precedents I need to tell you about when it comes to similar debt bubbles bursting in the past, including the 2008 financial crisis. Obviously, this is not financial advice, but subscribe to the channel and listen to what Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger just said in Berkshire Hathaway's annual meeting before I tell you more about it.
This question comes from Tom Seymour. He says the first sentence of a recent Financial Times article read, "Charlie Munger has warned of a brewing storm in the U.S. commercial property market, with American banks full of what he said were bad loans as property prices fall. Please elaborate on what's going on in commercial real estate. How bad will the losses be, and what sectors or geographies look particularly bad?" I'll just add an addendum from another viewer who wrote in and wanted to know if Berkshire would be more active in commercial real estate as a result.
Well, Berkshire's never been very active in commercial real estate. It works better for taxable investors than it does for corporations taxed the way Berkshire is. So I don't anticipate huge effects on Berkshire, but I do think that the hollowing out of the downtowns in the United States and elsewhere in the world is going to be quite significant and quite unpleasant. I think the country will get through it all right, but as they say, it will often involve a different set of owners.
Yeah, and the buildings don't go away, but
the owners do.
Well, but most people like to buy with non-recourse in real estate, and one time I asked Charlie, there was some real estate guy we were talking to, and how do they decide how much a building like this is worth? And the answer is it's whatever they can borrow without signing their name.
Charlie Munger's retort about the owners going away and changing with a real estate crash rings dangerously similar to what happened in the residential real estate market back in the 2008 financial crisis. Right now, while perhaps not as bad, there's still a massive $1.2 trillion worth of real estate loans that are maturing till 2025, and 17% of those commercial real estate mortgages happen to be office working spaces, which have seen a rapid drop in business viability since the remote work culture has shifted the sands of the industry entirely. The federal funds effective rate has seen a sharp increase after 2022, after nearly 2 whole years of being near zero in the aftermath of the lockdowns to give the economy the growth spurt it needed at the time. From under 1%, they've now risen to over 5.3%, squeezing the revenues of commercial real estate as it adjusts to new monthly payments after the rate hike. And that too in a time when commercial real estate like shopping malls, grocery stores, restaurants, and co-working spaces have all seen a rapid decrease in foot traffic after online shopping, food delivery, and remote work massively slashed the revenues of brick-and-mortar business. Remember, commercial real estate in the United States does not benefit from something like the fixed-rate mortgage that Americans can get in the residential real estate market. And the rampant borrowing of money to invest in commercial real estate during low interest rates is now becoming increasingly unsustainable.
If you look at real estate generally, you'll understand what the phenomena that's happening if you remind yourself that that's the attitude of most people that have become big in the real estate business, and it does mean then that the lenders are the ones that get the property, and of course they don't want the property usually, so then the real estate operator counts on negotiating with them, and the banks tend to extend and pretend, and there's all kinds of activities that arrive out of commercial real estate development, which occurs on a big scale, but it all has consequences, and I think we are starting to see the consequences of people who could borrow at 2.5% and find out it doesn't work at current rates, and they hand it back to somebody that gave them all the money they needed to build it.
There's something else that I think is worth mentioning that ties into what Warren Buffett just said. It's that more often than not in times of such financial distress, the small banks fail and the real estate market fills with what are called distressed assets, Who stands to gain from all this chaos? It's the big banks with the liquid capital available to scoop up these distressed and foreclosed properties. Something similar happened back in the 2008 financial crisis with some of America's biggest names in the banking industry, including JP Morgan Chase, as well as investment firms like Blackstone. In fact, after 2012, Blackstone bought more than 50,000 single-family homes across the US, among the lowest housing prices in a long time, renovated them with around $25,000 each, and put them up for rent in one of the most cunning investment moves after the global financial crisis. Could something similar happen in the next few years, perhaps with another player in the market like BlackRock? Well, we've already seen BlackRock's intrigue with the US real estate market in the residential sector, scooping up residential properties and becoming a giant landlord of sorts by renting them out. It's the largest asset management firm in the world right now, with over $10.6 trillion worth of assets under management. It's a not-so-subtle way of consolidating even more assets while socializing the losses of the crash and privatized gains. Warren Buffett at least advocates against that, calling for the banks that bet on the interest rates not changing eventually be the ones that eat the cost when they do.
If those rates change, let the person who bet that they wouldn't change lose money. I mean, that's if you make mistakes in business, plenty of people make mistakes. You pay for them. If you've got a big profitable business on top of it, which a good many banks do, you take your losses and you keep going on. I mean, banks can take a lot of loan losses, but they can't take something that wipes out their capital and expect the world to ignore that fact.
Meaning that you don't think anything needs to be done on the commercial real estate front?
Well, I think that the people who lend too much money should take losses, and they're getting properties handed back to them now.
That sounds like a noble idea, but unfortunately does not have enough power behind it to be enforced. We're going to see big slumps in the commercial real estate market in the coming months, and some even bigger moves by banking and investment giants. Let me know in the comments what you expect to happen, because perhaps we've seen something similar play out before.